signs inmates are about to get in a fight. We need to learn inmate movement and what that means. They're silent signs that they are sending us that we need to be aware and ready for trouble. Lace up or catch a square, as the inmates say. Now, let's talk about some of the things. I'm just going to talk about a few of them. I hope that you can add some more that you've learned over the years. You learn these things with experience, watching inmates in the dorms, in the pods, in the rec yards, at the prisons. But why wait until you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of experience? Start learning now from the very beginning when you come into this career of what inmates do that'll warn you just a little bit before they're about to start fights or do things that you're going to need to be prepared to call backup on, okay? So here's a couple of things. When flip-flops fly or shirts come off. Now, many officers know that that's a sign that there's probably going to be a fight real quick. But how many of you don't know that? You see an inmate flip his flip-flops off and you think nothing of it. Or how about when the inmates go into their cells and take off their flip-flops and tie up and lace up their tennis shoes real tight and come back out into the dorm or into the pod. Something's about to go down. You need to be ready and you need to be prepared. Have that sense about you to be aware of inmate movement, things they're doing that are giving you the warning ahead of time. Don't be complacent. Don't be lazy. If you're complacent or lazy, these signs will mean nothing to you. You'll just let these signs go on right in front of you and never take any action. How about when you're on the prison rec yard and that silence sets in? Many of you know what I'm talking about with that silence. That silence on the yard that is not normal. And then groups of inmates start gathering on the yard. It's time to call the yard, folks, and call for some officers to be placed in strategic areas. Because when you have a prison with 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,500 inmates, and many of them are out on the rec yard, it can get awful hairy out there, folks. Watch these signs and be ready. You're going to find yourself in these situations alone in the middle of hundreds of inmates because we all know that we are outnumbered. But we can call for backup and get help and get it done, hopefully, before things get too far out of hand. Now, how about when a bunch of inmates rush into one cell or they just all walk into one cell? Well, number one, that's never a good thing. That's always a situation that is getting out of hand. We don't need several inmates in one cell. If there's one inmate to a cell, that's his cell. If there's two inmates to a cell, that's their cell. But when you start getting 5, 6, 7 inmates into a cell, we're looking at a lot of possibilities. Don't just sit back and ignore it. Get up and go find out what's going on in that cell and call for some help. You don't need to be going to the cell alone. You can call and say, hey, is there someone who can come down here and walk in there with me and let's find out what's going on. Now, it could be a fight that we're talking about, or it could be tattooing going on, could be an inmate canteen going on in there, could be some kind of sexual thing going on, all kinds of things. This is a big sign. When a lot of inmates start to gather in one cell, don't ignore it. Is this stuff simple? Yes. Are some of you saying right now, we all know this? Yes, but guess what? We don't all know this. That's why we have to get these things out. We have to get officers aware. And if you do know it, those of you that do know it, some fall in that complacency. Don't let that happen. Some fall into laziness. Let's just face it. Get your head on a swivel, stay alert, and watch for all these things, okay? Another thing to watch for, when all of a sudden inmates just start picking up items, a broom handle, a bucket, a bed sheet from their bed, and they start wrapping it around their arm, socks, locks, anything that can be used as a weapon. Don't just sit there and look at these inmates picking up these items and say, oh, you know, of course, if it's cleanup time and you have certain housemen, as we call them in prison, or trustees in a jail coming in to clean up, that's one thing. You still watch, because it's dangerous when you have these caustics out there, these chemicals, these broom handles, these broom sticks. They're all dangerous. But when you see inmates start gathering all these things, you better get ready. This is a sign to tell you, get up, watch. If you have a partner, tell your partner, look at these inmates are starting to move around. Something's wrong. Call for backup when you believe it's time you need it. Don't let things just blow open on you. You can quell these disturbances by getting in those pods and getting in those dorms and stopping them before they happen. Okay? When you hear another inmate calling an inmate bitch, punk, or snitch, don't just laugh and let it go. Be ready. Because when an inmate calls another inmate bitch, punk, or snitch, those are fighting words. Things are probably going to get ready to go down, unless the other inmate's afraid to defend themselves. But the code among many inmates is, don't let someone call you a bitch, punk, or snitch. Because if you allow it to happen, then the other inmates will believe that's true. So that's a sign when you see inmates verbally arguing, calling each other names. Come on now, that's pretty obvious. Be ready. Okay? Now, when you see inmates telling another inmate to get your ass in that shower, it's the last time we're going to tell you, get your stinking ass in that shower. Let me tell you, there's been a lot of fights over this. When inmates that do not want to take a shower run around stinking up the place, the other inmates don't like it. If you as an officer don't step in and take care of this situation, they will grab that inmate and throw that inmate in the shower and give him a shower. Now some of you say that's good, let them do it. But what happens is usually somebody gets hurt, broken arm or something, and now you have a lot of reports to write, a lot of things to explain. Why? I'd rather just take the inmate out, say, look man, is everything okay? Talk to the inmate. Come on, let's get a shower. See if you can do it that way rather than the hard way. Isn't it better to work smarter and not harder? Okay? I know some folks out there would love to just see that. To them it's funny to see 5 or 6 inmates grab another inmate, throw them in the shower, punch them a few times, give them a shower. That's not what we're there for, folks. Care, custody, and control. Take care of it. Save yourself some paperwork, save some blood in the dorm, save some time, okay? All right, when inmates all of a sudden start to leave an area. Now, the other scenario I gave was when the silence on the compound and other inmates start to gather. Well, what about when inmates start to leave an area? A lot of inmates have said, I don't want to be in a fight. I don't want to be around a fight. I want to get away from it. So if you see inmates leaving an area suddenly, check it out. That's your job. You're the patrolman. You're on patrol. We are the police of the jails and the prisons. And when we're on the way home, we're police also, because sometimes we have to stop, take care of a traffic accident or an incident we see or someone being attacked. We are police all the time. So, you're on patrol in your dorms and pods and on your prison yards and your jail rec yards. You are the police. Police it up. Check out that neighborhood. Check out that area and find out why inmates are suddenly leaving that area. Okay? Let's take care of business and take care of things before they happen. Now, when one or more inmates come to you with a lot of questions, and you're like, why is this all of a sudden happening? Why do I have 2 inmates in front of me, both bombarding me with questions? Be aware they could be decoys trying to keep you occupied, trying to get your mind off. They may have stood and positioned themselves over here because something's going down over there and they want you to turn and talk to them. Come on, folks. Peripheral vision, head on a swivel, talk to the inmates, tell them, hurry up, ask me what you want to ask and move on. Or tell them, frankly, if you think something's up, I don't have time for you right now. Move on. And then look around. Take a dorm round if you're in a jail. If you're in a prison. Take a walk around the pod if you're in a jail. If you're on the outside in the rec yard and they're trying to draw your attention away, tell them to step off, get moving, and get checking. Find out what's going on. If it's not a fight, it could be a drug deal, it could be anything going on. All right? All I'm trying to do with this video is get your attention to detail. We could sit here, hundreds of things inmates do that give you a sign something's about to go down that's not right. Please tell us from your experience, your things that you've learned that inmates will do, things you should look for, things you should watch for. Today I wanted to talk about signs that inmates may be getting ready to fight, and these same signs go for other things as well. Like I said, they may be tattooing, they may be doing a drug deal, they may be having sex. It all goes hand in hand, and all of you know that. So if you know it, take care of it. If you don't know it, please learn, ask senior officers what you need to look for. And senior officers, don't let these new folks have to learn all this on their own. Teach them. Come on. Let's work together and stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you all. Take care, everybody. True Prison Stories, Gary York.